Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you are here. On today's video, I will be sharing our favorite bread and butter pickle recipe, as well as our favorite salsa recipe. I didn't get a lot of produce out of our garden this year. The tomatoes are all from our garden, but I did have to purchase some of the peppers, and I got a lot of the cucumbers gifted to me. So let's get started. After washing all the cucumbers, I'm just going ahead and slicing all the ends off. So for slicing up all my cucumbers, I'm just using my Tupperware mandolin here. It's very easy to adjust the settings, and it is way faster than doing it all by knife or just with a knife and a cutting board. You just want to be super careful of this blade. It is very sharp. So when I get towards the end, I definitely go a little slower and just making sure not to cut myself. And trust me, I have cut myself with it in the past. It is super sharp. I could, however, use this when I get towards the end of the cucumber, but I feel like this is just easier and faster than trying to attach this to the cucumber at the end and then using that. So I am just trying to be super careful and not cut myself. But as you can see, the slices are now going to be all even, all the same thickness, and it's quite fast and easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause you here and finish cutting up all these cucumbers, and then we'll get to the next step. So now that I have sliced up all the cucumbers, I'm going to go ahead and see how many cups this is. And we are needing 16 cups per recipe. So that's one recipe right there. And that is two recipes. So I think we're going to have, my guess is 2.5 recipes here. To this pail of sliced cucumbers, we will be adding sliced onion, as well as peppers and garlic and coarse salt. And then we will add ice or cover it with ice. For one recipe, it calls for 6 small onions. And I think this is more of a medium onion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll do 4 medium onions per recipe. And it is 2.5 recipes. So this will actually be just perfect. And we need 2 peppers per recipe cut up, and these are rather large peppers. We had a couple of smaller peppers in our garden, which we've already eaten. Our peppers are also not doing well this year. Tomatoes, I think we will have lots. So I don't know, like this is a large pepper. It's not a medium. So I could probably count one of these as 2 peppers. And so then I might have enough, but I may possibly end up going to the farmer's market today. It is Tuesday, and maybe purchase some more onions and peppers, you know, to be on the safe side. And if I do go, I will maybe take you along. I don't think I've taken you along to our farmer's market this summer at all yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut up all the onion and the peppers that I have here. And then if I end up going, if I have to go to the farmer's market to buy more, or our local grocery store, but I really want to go to the farmer's market. I'm out of sourdough bread, and I haven't made any lately. My sourdough starter is right now in the fridge relaxing. I'll have to bring it back to life to make more sourdough bread. So I might also purchase some sourdough bread at the farmer's market. You know, and we have to all go support each other, right? There's so many small businesses out there and at the farmer's market, and they work so hard at making all their baked goods, plus a lot of different farmers with their produce. I feel like we need to go and support them as well. So 6 small onions. Okay, that was 2. but I'm going to consider this 4. This is how I like to cut up a pepper so that you have 0 waste. I like to cut the end off very thinly, and with that, the end piece just kind of pops right out, and then you just go ahead and grab this piece, take out some of the seed, and you have 0 waste. And for the pepper, just chop it up into bite-sized pieces. So it looks like I will have enough peppers and onion for the 2.5 recipes that I am doing. However, I might still go to the farmer's market and just have a look around. I have the vegetable mixture divided from the pail to the pot because the pail just got too full. I mixed everything up, and I covered it with ice, plus mixed it with the ice as well. And it's going to sit here now for 3 hours, and then we will continue with the canning. You can also leave it sit overnight if you want. So since I did 2.5 recipes of vegetables that we chopped up here, that's not all going to fit in this pot. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this into half. And then we will cook the 1/2 first and then the other half. All our jars and lids have been washed with hot soapy water. And my husband is home from work, so he's going to help me. It looks like there's hardly no liquid on there, but once it comes to a boil, there is actually going to be plenty enough liquid. It is now the following day and all my jars have sealed up very nicely. That is always a huge blessing when every jar has sealed, right? If they don't seal, I just stick them in the fridge and then we just eat those first. So out of the 2.5 recipe that I did yesterday, I got 10 1-liter jars of pickles, and the recipe says you should get about 8 pints per recipe. I just go ahead and usually do always the 1-liter jars because we go through these quite quickly. And they are really good as a side with meals or with bread and butter, sourdough bread especially, or if you're Mennonite for faspa, charcuterie board, or whatever it might be. We love them regardless, and I will be canning quite a bit more. And we do normally go through them really fast. I can't remember how many jars I canned last year, but I think we have maybe 1 or 2 jars left from that. And I'm hoping to attach a salsa making video to this video as well. That will be done on a different day. And I'll take you through that process as well and share my favorite salsa recipe. Now that we have all our vegetables washed, we're going to go ahead and cut everything up. The recipe calls for 2 large or 3 medium peppers. I have 2 large here. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to go ahead and share one recipe with you. I'm not going to double it or triple it or anything like that. I just want to do one recipe so that I can share a little bit more in depth and detail on what I do and how I make my salsa. Now I've got my pot over here. I'm going to take and throw all my chopped items into the pot right away. And the way you chop your vegetables is totally up to you. You can do it very fine so that you have very smooth, thin salsa, or you can have chunky salsa and cut your vegetables up in bigger pieces. Now, I like both. My husband and I like both, but I think maybe, I guess also it depends on what you're using it for, but for chips and salsa, I prefer chunky. But for, let's say you want to add it into soups and other recipes, then I prefer it being less chunky. There you go. So it's almost like a tomato soup base, sort of. We have some family members in our family that like it very smooth, not chunky at all. And then we have some that like it chunky. But for the most part, everybody does their own canning at home. However, when we have the kids over and let's say we have taco night or whatever it might be, I like to have the option of both, chunky and smooth. So today I'm going to do chunky, this recipe, but you could totally just make it much finer. What I have done in the past is when I do make it smoother, I use a chopper. I have a Tupperware food chopper that I use. It works really, really well. And I also have a food processor that I use sometimes as well, especially if you want to make a really large batch of salsa and you want to have it more or less smooth. Then the food processor comes in handy. I've done that in the past. I'll insert a couple of videos here of the Tupperware chopper as well as the food processor that I have used in the past for making salsa. Now, to cut up your jalapeno peppers, I would recommend wearing gloves. If you don't have gloves, I'm sorry, I feel sorry for you. No, I've done that in the past. I've done it without wearing gloves. You can also just take and put a couple of Ziploc bags over your hands and do it that way. And if you are not sensitive, you know, don't put anything on your hands. But I always find that I touch my face a lot. So if I don't wear anything on my hands while I'm cutting up these strong peppers, then I will definitely have a burning face. I have a lot of allergies, so I'm always sneezing and sniffling and blowing out my nose. So I for myself, I need to wear gloves. And the recipe calls for 3 to 6 jalapeno peppers. You could do more and you can do less. If you like it more spicy, add more. If you don't like spice, don't add any. The few peppers that you will put in that recipe isn't going to make a really big difference in your ratio at the end. I am doing 3 today for this recipe, and I feel like these are going to be pretty strong because I can feel it on my face and in my throat. And if you like it really strong, leave some of the seeds in there. I know there's going to be a couple of seeds in here. I didn't clean them out perfectly, but it'll be fine. Now I have all kinds of gadgets I could use to chop everything up, like I said earlier, but for today's video, I want to do it all by hand. And since I've got the gloves on, I may as well cut the onion right away too. And we are needing, I'm just looking at the recipe here beside me, we are needing 3 cups of chopped onion. So that's going to be quite a bit of onion I got to cut up here. It is affecting my throat already, the strong smells, but I don't mind it. I love the smell of canning salsa or making salsa pico de gallo. I did make pico de gallo the other day, and oh, it was so good in our tacos. Now, of course, we are going to be making many recipes of salsa. I've done some bread and butter pickles already, which you will, of course, see in this video after this. And we will be doing more yet, quite a bit more, as well as a lot more. That's burning my eyes right now. Any suggestions for strong onion smell? It doesn't always affect me the same way. It varies from time to time. But I've also been told it depends on the onion. And you can do all these different things to apparently avoid the burning of the eyes, but I don't know. It is just what it is. I remember my brother way back in the day. He used to work, he was I don't know if he was the head cook in the restaurant, but I do know that he had some experience with making food, all kinds of different dishes, and he was telling us once that if you cut the cord out, then you will not have any tears. It won't affect you then. And it might. I think I have tried it. I think it doesn't do it as much. I think the strongest part is in here. However, I don't want to waste, so I have this big bag of beautiful onions that I purchased. Unfortunately, I didn't grow any onions this year. Our garden is too small to grow everything. Plus, our garden didn't do the best. And so yeah, I don't want to waste. So, okay, 3 cups. Okay, that is about 3 cups that I have right now. If I, of course, add all the things I put beside, right? So I'll add that to our pot. And then I shall clean up my mess. I don't do well working in a messy kitchen, and I always have a bucket where I put all my scraps into. For chopping up tomatoes, I always prefer a serrated knife. I feel like it works way better than any other knife, but each up to their own. So we are needing, again, cut it as fine as you want, as chunky as you want, or even blend it if you want. We are needing 8 cups of chopped tomatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this all up, pause you here for a bit, and then we will continue. And for the tomato, I always just cut this tiny little piece out at the end, and all the rest, of course, will get used. Okay, so I've got 4 cups of chopped tomatoes, and now we'll do another 4. We need 8 in total. And then I've got my 3 chopped up garlic cloves here. You could do more garlic if you like a lot of garlic. I'm going to add 2 cans of tomato paste, each at, well, what is this? This is a 5.5 ounce. So it's 156 ml, 2 of these. What I like about making salsa is you can do it all just in one pot. Chop everything up, throw everything together. Of course, if I was doubling or tripling this recipe, I would be using a much bigger pot. And then we need 1/2 cup of vinegar. 3 teaspoons of salt. And about a 1/4 teaspoon pepper, or if you want a little bit more pepper, do 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I like a lot of pepper, so I'm going to do a teaspoon. And then we need 5 teaspoons of cornstarch. That is 5. A teaspoon of cumin. And 3 teaspoons of chili powder. Here again, if you wanted it stronger, you could. I find this is the perfect ratio here. And now we've got everything in here that needs to be in this recipe except for cilantro. Now, if I had cilantro right now, I would add cilantro. I love cilantro. My husband, on the other hand, not so much. But if I add just a little bit, he honestly, I don't think can even taste it, but I can. But unfortunately, I don't have any cilantro. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do have cilantro in the freezer. I did cut my cilantro and washed it, dried it, and put it in the freezer. I could get it out of the freezer and cut some up to put in here. I couldn't find my cilantro in the upstairs freezer. I think it's in the downstairs freezer. So I'm going to leave cilantro out for this recipe. Tomorrow, my husband should be home, and we are going to be making a ton more salsa. So I'm going to make sure that I have at least one recipe where I add cilantro. And if you like cilantro, add it. If you don't like it, leave it out. So then you're just going to go ahead and mix everything up in your pot. And you want to have it maybe on medium heat. And then you're just going to keep an eye on it. Stir it every now and then. You want to make sure that it doesn't burn on or anything. I have a really good quality pot here. This pot, you know, it hardly ever burns on. But if you have, depending on what kind of pot you have, you want to keep a close eye on it, that it doesn't burn on. I just kind of, while this is doing its thing, I'll go ahead and clean up around me and keep coming back and stirring. And then once this starts boiling, you're going to want to leave it cook for about maybe 5 minutes. And then once it's to that stage, we're going to jar it up. And that's it. That's all there's to it. When it's so hot and steamy and has been boiling and you add it into your jars, my lids have always sealed very nicely. And oh gosh, you can keep it in your pantry and use it for years, I would say. Of course, in our house, salsa doesn't last that long. We are usually, by the time the next summer season comes, we're already gone through all our salsa. And that's what happened this year. Our salsa is all gone from last year, so I'm very excited for fresh salsa. My salsa has been cooking now for about 5 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and jar it up. Now what I normally do is I'll leave my burner on very low while I'm jarring it up, just so that it doesn't cool down too much while you're doing this. And then you just want to make sure with a dry cloth that you wipe the rim. And voila. Now let's finish this all up here. It smells so good in here right now. I cannot wait to dig into chips and salsa. The recipe says that it's supposed to give 8 500 ml jars full. However, I got 6 jars plus a little bit. That would not have given quite a full jar full. So I'm going to cool that off in the fridge and I'm going to eat that. I'm so excited to taste this. Now, this is my favorite recipe. I have tried all kinds of recipes in the past in all our married life of canning, and this is by far my absolute favorite. Now, I would probably have known it give only 6 per recipe if I've made this so long, right? However, we always double or triple the recipe, and I've never really paid attention. So now you know it. How I did it, it gave me 6 500 ml jars. So there you have it. And then I will, I think, attach a video at the end of my fridge dills as well yet. And I know you will be seeing this video towards the end of August, like I said earlier. You may have done all your canning already, but that's just how my schedule for YouTube worked in August. And so I hope it will still be helpful to you if you still want to do some canning. I will just go ahead and start over here. The first planter here, I had planted flowers. My zinnias have been blooming quite nicely. They did, however, start blooming late, I feel. But I have been cutting flowers and making different bouquets. And my cosmos are huge, but they are not blooming. I don't know why not, but they haven't started blooming. And then just next to it, I did have some herbs that are not doing so well. I had the oregano and the thyme. You can see a little bit here of the thyme and the oregano, but they're not very big, but I have harvested from them. And then I've got the carrots, they're doing well. And then the planter next to it, what did I have here? I had green beans and radishes. Those have all been harvested and taken care of already. I've pulled everything out, and then we've got carrots. And then I had all the cabbage here, and I managed to save some of them before all the bugs got to them. And I had made a delicious cabbage soup with that and coleslaw. Then over here, our cucumbers are not doing so well at all. I know we planted them in the wrong spot. Look how little they are. We have had enough for eating, but that's about it. But I've had some amazing people that have gifted me a lot of cucumbers to make my bread and butter pickles. And then over here in the back was my herb garden and my lettuce. We've eaten all the lettuce, and I have pulled everything out. The birds were starting to eat the lettuce like crazy, so I pulled everything out. My onion chives are fine. We've had some of those. Cilantro I'm finished with. I've already pulled it all out and put in the freezer. On one of my videos you saw me taking in a bunch of herbs and washing them and drying them for the freezer, but I can see that my parsley needs to be done again, and my summer savory has gone to bloom, but I'm going to try and save a little bit more of that. And my dill has just about dried up. My zucchini is doing well. We have eaten lots of zucchini already. As a matter of fact, I just pulled a giant one off a few days ago and made chocolate zucchini muffins out of those. And then the tomatoes are doing excellent. I have no issues with them. Look at the bush. It is just taking over my whole sidewalk here. And these are the little sweet tomatoes. We have eaten a ton of these. And there is, again, a ton of ripe ones in here that I need to pick. And I will also use some of these for salsa. I do plant Roma tomatoes for salsa. But because we mostly like our salsa smooth, I use all sorts of tomatoes. It really doesn't matter. And as you can see, there's quite a few ripe tomatoes that I need to pick. I'm hoping to get several recipes of salsa out of my tomatoes here. There's lots of ripe ones there and down there. They're looking really good. And the annuals I planted along on the side here are not doing so well, but the ones in the front are doing really, really good. My rose bush has bloomed once. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it stopped blooming and I feel like it stopped growing. I have fertilized it. These are our pepper plants. Now they are huge, huge plants. We have gotten some peppers out of them, but for me, this year I didn't have a good pepper year. We have had really, really good pepper years. But this year I haven't gotten a ton out of it. But my nephew's daughters, they garden and they sell vegetables, and I did buy a bunch of green peppers off of them. And we did get some jalapeno peppers as well. And then that is my beets, and they're still quite small. So once they are about medium size, I'll pull them out and I'll can them as well. And then those are our grapes. They have been doing good. Not as good as some other years, but they are not doing too bad. But we have had an exceptional wet summer. It has not been dry out here. And the humidity has been really high, like almost Texas high at times, I feel like. More than years prior. And flowers are doing well. Weeds are doing really well. I do, however, have some kind of bug infestation that I need to take care of. We have sprayed it several times already with home remedies, but it doesn't seem to be enough. The rose bushes are getting eaten and all the other plants are getting eaten. I don't know what's going on. If you have a good remedy solution, please let me know. The daffodils are starting to bloom as well. Like I said, I see a lot of other people, they've harvested all kinds of things way sooner than we have. But somehow I feel like our garden was just late this year. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm not going to name all the plants this time around. I did that in last end of July tour video. If you want to see that, I will link that down below. I just want to give you a little bit of an update how everything is doing. Hydrangeas are doing beautiful. We've got huge blooms. These were white when I did the end of July tour, and they've turned green. And those will be turning into a light purple in fall, and which is nearby. I can already see they are starting to turn color slightly already. That garden planter or flower planter, I feel like is dying. It's not doing so well. And like I said, all the weeds are doing exceptionally good. And I cannot seem to keep up. These are the ones that were blooming on my last video, and they have now all turned orange, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And we did have several apples. But our grandson pulled a few of them down, and the rest that were on here, the birds got to them and ate lots of it. We did manage to eat a few apples before the birds got them all the way. I'm just going to check. Yeah, they're all gone now, what we had on here. The birds got most of them. And of course, everything else is just being taken over by weeds. These are the wild tomatoes that were growing here. We left them, but there is hardly any tomatoes on there, so we'll probably just end up pulling them out. We did not plant the tomato plants here. They just grew wild. Our 2 plum trees are doing well. We're still picking some raspberries. Isn't that odd? For end of August to still have raspberries? I feel like that is different. And my rose bushes also are not doing so good. They are blooming now a little bit more than what they did after I fertilized them, but they're not looking healthy. The leaves again are yellowish and being eaten by something. This red one in the back here is really not looking healthy. So I don't know. Any advice? I'd appreciate it. And the climbing one did bloom for a short while, and now it stopped blooming as well. So needless to say, it's not been a very good year for me for my roses. I have had some years they bloomed so full and they were so gorgeous. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I did wrong. We did use rose fertilizer and mulching and all kinds of other things, and it's just not, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then I will take you a little bit up front and share our garden in the front a little bit with you, just as a little update. My planters were doing very well. I know I need to deadhead them a little bit more often than what I do. As you can see, you know, life just gets so busy. Summer gets so busy and you just can't seem to keep up. The planters that are hanging on our patio, they are definitely dying down. I did end up bringing some of my house plants outside, the ones that like high humidity. And the begonias are still doing pretty good. They've been blooming lots. And then my herbs up here are doing really well too. I've got mint and basil. They're doing really well. My front garden and planters have been doing really well. Nothing to complain about here. They have grown tremendously. My ivy is now, this is a huge planter, and my ivy is now almost touching the bottom here already. My fern has been doing really good. And then I'll just do a little walk around in the front garden here. The annuals I planted around on the edge have been doing super good. And everything else is looking beautiful and healthy. My pink hydrangea is blooming nicely. And everything else has been blooming really well here in the front flower garden. And it looks like the wildflowers that I planted around this big rock, they're not to the blooming stage. I don't know why not. Well, I guess there is a few. And of course, there were some flowers that were not blooming when I did the end of July garden tour, and some of them are done blooming already. That is it for my little garden tour here. I will link the end of July garden tour video down below in case you're interested in going and seeing that.